Well, this is long overdue. Both this particular video and any video in general. But now I finally have the place to myself, no buffoons, husband or otherwise, to interrupt me. So here we go. My Little Pony. Oh, you wonderful ball of continuity errors, pastel horses, and beautiful stories. I've been watching this show more in the last few years than I did when it first came out, no matter how hard my sibling and my friends tried to get me to watch it back then. I think most of you can guess the reason. But seeing as I've been a part of this fandom for a good 4 years now, and I promised on Twitter that I would make a list once I reached 2,500 followers, I should probably get on that. Better really late than never though, right? Now, as one can infer from the title, this is a favorites list, not a best list. If it were a best list, it would be very different. And I'd have to remove all biases I have, which I am nearly incapable of doing, to be honest. My favorites are going to be different than yours, and they may actually surprise you as I have expressed which ponies I like most through the years. But after much reflection, my own choices surprised me. So, without further ado, RML's top 10 favorite ponies. Seriously, no one else is here. Firebrand won't be in the video.
Morning in Ponyville shimmers. Morning in Ponyville shines.
Some of you may be surprised by my choice for number 10, but those who know me will not be. First off, let me say that I don't particularly enjoy Pinkie Pie. All the time! I like her sometimes! Jeez! I enjoy limited amounts of Pinkie Pie. Pinkie Pie in small doses. She's just too much for me sometimes, but she has her great moments, usually involving songs. Pinkie's Present and Smile Song are two of my favorites in the show, but I can't handle her all the time. I'm an introvert, she's an extrovert, we don't mix, it's like oil and water.
So you've spent all of this entry so far bashing Pinkie, when are you getting to the actual good stuff?
You may be asking. Well, my number 10 is the perfect amount of Pinkie Pie without it being Pinkie Pie. Just the small dose I need, with music to boot. It's Weird Al freaking Yankovic, y'all!
The super duper party pony, that pony is me. You'll never meet another party pony quite like Cheese.
Cheese Sandwich is the perfect mix of goofball, musical talent, and good character design that I need in a character. He's kind to others and apologizes quickly while still being the life of the party, and oh, who am I kidding? He's only here because he's voiced by Weird Al. I've been a fan of Weird Al Yankovic for as long as I can remember. The first thing that I bought with my own money that I had saved up from the Tooth Fairy and chores was his Greatest Hits Volume 2 album when I was about 7 or 8. He is my favorite solo musician. I buy his albums the day they are released if I can. He's just my favorite. So when Josh made a list of top 10 music battles and showed me that Weird Al was in My Little Pony, I had to watch. And I did, and I loved him. Didn't care about anyone else back then, but I loved him! Yes, this is exceptionally biased, and if Cheese was voiced by any other actor, even the great Rob Paulson, I wouldn't like him as much, if at all. This is just a case of casting that catered to my inner squeeing fangirl, and I'm not sorry! All hail the Cheese!
Morning in Ponyville shimmers. Morning in Ponyville shines.
Maybe it's due to overexposure, maybe it's because I have a soft spot for the characters that don't often get a lot of time to shine, but a decent portion of the ponies on this list could be considered supporting or minor characters in the series overall. I feel like sometimes the writers of the show get tired of writing the same characters all the time, so when the corporate bigwigs decide to have pity on them, or release a new toy, they go all out on the one-offs or barely recurring characters. Season 7 introduced the Pillars of Unity, or Pillars of Equestria, whichever, that were basically the main 6 before they were cool, except the pillars had gender diversity, lol. Throughout the season, we were regaled with legends of each of the members. Mistmane, Mage Meadowbrook, Flash Magnus, Somnambula, Rockhoof, and the legendary Star Swirl the Bearded. And eventually, the pillars were pulled out of limbo, which is a layer of hell in Dante's Inferno, did you all know that? And got stuck in the modern era. And that's where my not-so-wee little babu Rockhoof comes in.
There's nothing you can't do with hard work. And the shovel!
The Scottish Clydesdale stole my heart with his cuddliness from the first hug he gave his friends in the mighty helm, and I have never looked back. He's just a teddy bear! He's like a big pupper who doesn't know his own strength and do a big old lamb and wants to sit in your lap even though he's like 120 pounds, and I just love him! His story in A Rockhoof and a Hard Place really made me identify with him more. I grew up kind of on the outside of a lot of things. I wasn't a rich preppy girl, so I didn't fit in with the girls at school. I liked video games, but not the same kinds as the boys, so I couldn't engage much with them either. I was an egghead who'd rather read than play tag, and for some reason my teachers wouldn't let us stay inside outside during recess unless it was raining, so I didn't really have a place to read or retreat to do my own thing. I didn't quite fit in anywhere until I shifted to public school. And Rockhoof has the same problem. All of his other friends grew up and altered their lifestyles to adjust with the times while he was stuck as an outcast. His home is gone, his friends are all busy, and he sticks out like a gigantic Hulk thumb. When he found his niche, I was so inordinately happy, especially since it was Yona who helped him see that he was still worth something. He was finally embraced and accepted for how unique he was, and my big old teddy lump got his happy ending. And he's so cute with his voice and his accent and his big old puppy eyes and—
Morning in Ponyville simmers. Morning in Ponyville shines.
I'll be honest with you right now, I didn't give two flying f***s about the Cutie Mark Crusaders for the longest time. Josh Scorcher's review of Ponyville Confidential sort of helped me like them, but for all the wrong reasons. And even now, I skip about half of their episodes if I'm going back and rewatching the series. But that's not because I don't like the characters, it's more because I don't love the situations they often find themselves in. That said, here is the first member of the CMC to grace my list, Applebloom.
And even though we're all a little scared, a cutie mark won't change who we are or how every pony feels about us.
I didn't know what to make of Applebloom at first, since I never had a little sister, I only had a little brother. She was annoying in that little kid way that the main six managed to avoid since they were older, so I absolutely hated her at first. Until Cutie Pox. Now, like I said during the last segment, I was not a very popular kid, so I would make up things to try and make myself look better, like Applebloom. Usually it was just stupid kid things, like having a green belt in karate at age 7, or having an uncle who worked at Disney so I could go to Disneyland whenever I wanted, but it still wasn't the truth. And so when I watched Applebloom's fibs spiral out of control, I slunk down in my seat and knew that she was too much like little Ari for me to completely hate her. From there, as I got more into the series, I saw both the immature and mature sides of her more, and I grew to appreciate her. I still don't like the episodes where she's hero worshipy of Applejack to the point of annoyance, though that may just be me being bitter because my little sibling was never like that with me. But for the most part, she's great. Though if I'm honest, the moment that sold me on Applebloom was when she willingly dressed up with Granny Smith to make Zap Apple Jam and her bunny ears emoted with her. All the cutes.
Morning in Ponyville simmers. Morning in Ponyville shines.
Oh wow, another CMC member so quickly. May as well dive in.
Yay!
While Applebloom earned my immediate ire, Sweetie Belle was one of my favorites from the get-go. Unicorn bias, maybe. Plus, she's the little sis of Best Main 6, so she couldn't be all bad. She was fairly practical, sassy, and adorable. Her voice was also my favorite of the CMCs. The reason she's above Applebloom, however, is how she deals with the others around her. She's particularly effective in the way she handles the other two Crusaders. Scootaloo is wild and reckless, Applebloom is a daydreaming idealist, and Sweetie Belle is the practical one who brings them back down to earth when the situation truly calls for it. She takes care of them and makes sure they don't die when they are doing something relatively stupid while still making sure everyone is heard and has a good time. When I was in high school, I was the group mom. I was, and still am, people's emergency contact or reference for jobs or apartments. I feel like Sweetie Belle is the mom friend of the show, even though she's much younger. With a drama queen for a sister, you kind of have to learn how to be rational. This doesn't mean that Sweetie Belle is perfect. I honestly and truly identify with her destructive jealousy and for whom the Sweetie Belle toils. I resented my sibling for a long time for being the star that everyone wanted to be around. I wanted to do something like Sweetie Belle did, but what I realize now is that I likely didn't have the full story. In reality, I still don't. Yay, communication skills. But Sweetie Belle is just a wee bit more likable than Applebloom, in my humble opinion. Both great, both have lovely personalities and singing voices, but the Belle is better than the Bloom for me.
Morning in Ponyville simmers. Morning in Ponyville shines.
Quirks are usually a good thing in my book. Not quirks like,
It has to be socks! Haha!
or,
Why, thank you. Thank you, darlings. How darling of you all.
but ones that add to the character. For example, Twilight's Twily Nanas episodes are hilarious, but although they happen often, they don't dominate her character. She isn't just insane book horse, she's a plethora of other things. But sometimes you get a side character who just has the right combination of quirks that any actual character they have kind of gets overshadowed by them. But it works! So then, what do you get when you cross Daria Morgendorffer, rocks, and ponies? Mod Pie.
I'm really into expressing myself through my wardrobe.
And what is the delightful frock you're wearing now saying?
It doesn't talk. It's a dress.
I like dry humor and deadpan, hard-to-read characters, and Maud certainly fits the bill. I can never get a clear read on her unless she outright says what she's feeling or thinking, but that's part of the fun with her. She's witty, mildly obsessive to the point of oblivious tendencies, and very caring in her own way. My favorite episode with her is easily Gift of the Maud Pie, before the writers tried to make her intentionally funny with her stand-up and whatnot. Wonderful literature reference aside, Gift of the Maud Pie exemplified all of the best aspects of her character in one fell swoop. Deadpan humor.
I'd like to return this pouch for my sister's party cannon, please.
Sorry, Missy. All sales are final.
I'd like to return this pouch for my sister's party cannon, please.
Mysterious intimidation techniques.
I'd like to return this pouch.
Here, take it, please! Just relax that jaw of yours and turn down that fire in your eyes!
Love for her family, and just everything great about Maud. Now that I think about it, Maud is the first of only 2 entries that I have no real deep personal connection to. She's just a flat-out good character who makes me laugh and teaches some good lessons. Maybe that makes for a dull entry, but props to all the Maud writers out there, you rock! Yes, I had to. Torches and pitchforks are over there.
Morning in Ponyville simmers. Morning in Ponyville shines.
While I am not as notorious in this regard as our dear Sweetie Bloom, I am a shipper. I love love, romance, and seeing friendship blossom into more. My favorite romantic tropes in fiction usually revolve around the best friends / good friends blooming into a long-lasting, healthy relationship. Dynamics like Danny Fenton and Sam Manson, Robin and Starfire, Kim Possible and Ron Stoppable, and Kyo Soma and Toru Honda give my shipper heart life. So, I'm a Starburst shipper.
I don't know why I got so worried about us not having anything in common.
Yeah, I kind of think it doesn't matter as long as we enjoy each other's company.
And I kind of only like them when they're together. I mean, they're so cute together. Awkward, bumbling Sunburst with recovering sociopath Starlight. Come on, what's not to love? On their own, they're fine. Starlight is interesting, but only when paired with another character, usually. She's better used as a balance rather than the focus. I'm not a huge fan of her solo episodes, and I'm also not a huge fan of any episode that pairs her with Trixie. One exception I can find is A Matter of Principles, but even then, she's kind of paired with Spike in Discord. Sunburst, on the other hand, is pretty much exclusively shown in conjunction with other ponies, Starlight especially, so you get used to his dynamic when in a group. I know some people had problems with how clingy and possessive Starlight got in Uncommon Bond, but to me it makes sense. Psychotic sense, but still sense. Him leaving her sparked the downward spiral her life took. So when she saw a repeat of it happening in front of her eyes, she tried absolutely everything she could to stop it. I've even reacted like that. But of course, Parent Map is where they truly shine as best friends. I can see the relationship dynamics so clearly there, and it's a sweet one. They're funny, they understand each other, and I don't really like it when they're apart. Of course, I highly doubt the showrunners will make this canon, or at least explicitly make it canon. They already gave in to the shippers about both Lyra and Bon Bon and Big Mac and Sugar Belle, but I can dream, dang it!
I've got a dream. I've got a dream. She's got a dream. Morning in Ponyville simmers. Morning in Ponyville shines.
I'm Team Night Princess. Don't tell Firebrand.
At long last, you have seen the moonlight. Bow before the princess of the night, for she is the bestest of the best. All hail
Yes,
Luna!
I'll see you at the fan club meeting on Thursday, Silver Deer.
Oh, Applebloom, you can't get away from your own shadow.
I can't help it! Luna is just so much more relatable to me than Celestia ever has been. Not to say that Celestia isn't great, she is. If this were a top 25 best written ponies list, she'd be on there, no doubt. But this is a list of my favorites, and I just like Night Horse better, okay? Not only does she have one of my favorite songs in the whole series,
Whatever might have been, all the dreams that ponies share. Because of you, snow for frost. Now the future is a cold nightmare.
but, well, remember that little brother I was talking to you about? He was kind of the Celestia of the family, and I was the Luna. Everyone's perspective is different, and I'm not saying that he's perfect or even didn't suffer any hardships. From where I stood, I was more often than not pushed aside by our parents, our schools, our theater groups, even some of my friends in favor of my brother. He was the golden child. He was talented and gorgeous, still is, darn. And well, I wasn't. I was the odd duck, the nerd who liked weird things, the loner, the fat kid, the girl who didn't do anything with her looks, the talented singer and actress surrounded by prettier singers and actresses. And like Luna, I lashed out. I lashed out at my parents, my brother, just anyone, because it was the only time anyone paid any attention to me. I felt alone in my own family, just like Luna. Luna is alone every night. She is constantly overshadowed, overlooked, and no one quite gets her interest and personality. I mean, Celestia is seen to have a decent number of friends, Twilight and the main six included. Who is Luna's friend other than Celestia? Who understands her? And even past my personal connection with Luna in regards to family, I relate to her on a mental health level too. Constantly struggles with guilt and depression. Hi, Tantibus, go away. And she's just so raw. Luna as a character is one you don't see much in kids' shows. Sure, you see the reformed villain like Starlight sometimes. Look at, like, half of the main cast of Dragon Ball Z. But a character whose own feelings of inadequacy cause them to harm others, then causes crippling depression and mental illness after their redemption? I feel that's a touch rarer. I could be wrong, but I don't often see it at least. Bottom line, I love Luna because I connect with her on a personal level. Her design is beautiful, I love her voice, both speaking and singing, she's relatable and funny, and I just think she's an amazing character. But remember, not a word to Firebrand, okay?
My wife has betrayed me!
Silver told him, didn't he?
The Lunar Army shall continue to grow. It is only a matter of time before we conquer the entire fandom in the name of Luna, Luna, Luna!
Morning in Ponyville simmers. Morning in Ponyville shines.
If y'all didn't see Scootaloo coming, y'all need to pay way more attention to my collabs.
I know! I just wish they lived closer. No pony bakes like Auntie Lofty.
Scootaloo is a precious creature, but I'll tell you right now, I hated her at the beginning. She was just wannabe Rainbow Dash 2.0, as brash and careless as her, and I really disliked Dashy most of the time, especially in the earlier seasons. So why would I want her mini-me? Then Parental Guidance came out, and I couldn't hate her anymore. In fact, I went back and rewatched nearly every single CMC episode with just that one phrase.
Growing up, I never thought I'd be the best at anything because no pony ever told me.
In my mind that whole time. It shed a new light on her personality and motivations that I didn't quite catch before. And she breaks my heart more easily than any other pony on the show. You can see most of my thoughts on her and why I identify with her so much in my Taking Too Seriously video with Firebrand, so I'm going to direct you to that since I don't want to cry here any more than I already have. But there are a few more happy things I like about her that I haven't addressed before. Firstly, I love her hairstyle. It is absolutely adorable and looks like a feather. Her color scheme also grew on me, so good job, character designers, have a cookie. Secondly, I love her voice. It's gravelly and it's even really cute when she sings. And lastly, I have worked with children for a good half of my life. Some of them have had physical hindrances or mental handicaps that have prevented them from doing the things that quote-unquote normal kids can do, or doing things the same way that quote-unquote normal kids can. I feel Scootaloo is a lovely role model for kids with those kinds of differences. She may not be able to fly, but she can still be fast and still be an amazing friend. And she still has Pegasus magic, as proven when she was in Cloudsdale, Inclusion Pony mascot. Also, her parents suck, so now Scootaloo is my child must protect. Next, please!
Morning in Ponyville simmers. Morning in Ponyville shines.
Brace yourselves, y'all.
My emotions, darling. Stress couture.
Really, it's all your fault for watching this far and indulging my silliness and sentimentality. But best pony is second favorite pony. Go figure. I'm sure most of you who have known me or paid attention to me for a long time will be absolutely shocked that Rarity, my darling drama equine, only landed at number 2. To be honest, I startled myself with it too. Rarity was my favorite at the beginning, and even before making this list, I thought she still was. Highly entertaining, and her dramatic mood swings remind me so much of myself that my mother even commented on it when she watched a couple of episodes. I was, and still am, a very emotion-based person, just like Fashion Horse, and I can fly off the handle at a moment's notice. Although my favorite form of therapy is cake or pizza, not ice cream. Can't match everything. But what really makes me reflect on why I like her so much is her element. Generosity. She gives so much of herself, her time, her belongings, everything she holds dear, to the point of self-destruction. Sometimes she's so generous to one person that she accidentally neglects others. Sometimes she gives something that to her is perfect, but to the other person is useless or even insulting. Ow. I went to a private elementary/middle school up until the end of 7th grade. Every year, the teachers would give out character trait awards, where they highlighted a positive character trait that each child displayed throughout the year, give a little speech, and give them a certificate. 5 years running, from 3rd to 7th grade, I got hospitality or generosity. I was one of the poorer kids, poorer being very relative in this school, but my teachers always saw me sharing my lunch or giving money to other kids to buy snacks at recess. I always gave the most to the class's sponsored child in Kenya. I outsold all the richer kids in school fundraisers. I loaned out my sweatshirts, lost a few that way too. I brought band-aids to school, and I always helped any kid who asked for help with their schoolwork. But 2 teachers also noticed I gave too much of myself. I gave and gave and gave until I had nothing left, and no one gave anything back. And I spiraled, and I almost did something bad. And I completely saw myself in Rarity and dressed for success because of that. I needed to learn, like Rarity, that giving of yourself should not mean that you give everything of yourself. Rarity is both the good and the bad of giving to others, both the fulfillment and the despair that can happen when you give too much. Rarity is hilarious, overdramatic, more confident than I've ever been in my life, kind-hearted, generous, and a self-destructive mirror into my own soul. Love you, best pony. Before we get to number 1, some honorable mentions. Big Mac. I've always wanted a big brother in real life. I wanted someone to look out for me and care for me, stick up for me at school. I needed a Big Mac in my life, steady and loving, but alas. If Cheese Sandwich hadn't been played by Weird Al, Big Mac would 100% be on the list. The wise ruler with some genuinely funny moments and a lovely, silky voice. She's a good character, but when she's with Luna, she kind of triggers all the inferiority complex issues I have. She's too perfect, or at least perfect enough to remind me that I'm the Luna. Another case of the duo being better than the sum of its parts. They work well off each other, I love their designs and dynamic, and they feel like real organic sisters. He's so freaking adorable in that accent, and I want his plushie right now!
I know for absolute certain that everything is certainly.
For years and years, I thought that Rarity was my favorite. She was the most fun for me to watch, even if her dramatics made me cringe sometimes. We are both drama queens, she has my favorite color palette in the series, and she's just fabulous, darling. But after taking a good, long, hard look at myself, and which episodes and characters I really love, it had to be Fluttershy.
Oh, good morning, little friends. Your singing is oh so pretty.
I've noticed something about myself. I respond better to nice characters than bold characters. For example, I like Ron Weasley better than Harry Potter, Samwise Gamgee over Aragorn or Legolas, and in this case, Fluttershy over Rarity and others like Rainbow Dash. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these other characters, but I respond to kindness in others. Fluttershy is kindness. And to be perfectly frank, the element of kindness is what I strive to be. I want to show compassion and love to others, like Fluttershy, but we both have our struggles in achieving our goals. She has crippling shyness, I have anger issues and unresolved childhood trauma. For better or worse, I am Fluttershy at heart. I have mild social anxiety, general anxiety disorder, severe depression, and PTSD. I don't like surprises or being scared. I dealt with bullying a lot growing up. I'm honestly just as fearful of the world as she is. And because Fluttershy and I are so alike, she just makes me feel less alone. Before you hop down to the comment section and start screeching about how she regresses, I get it, and I agree. She does regress, over and over, but you know what? How she defended herself in Fame and Misfortune is right. We've all backslid. I take 2 steps forward with my mental health and then take another step back the next week. Maybe even 3 steps back. We are human. Ponies. We make mistakes, sometimes multiple times before the message sinks in. Fluttershy shows us that it's okay to make mistakes, to mess up a lot, as long as we eventually learn our lesson. We will still have our friends beside us to help guide us. To be honest though, she could have learned her lesson each time and I would still love her. She has a beautiful soul, she's sweet, she has a lovely voice, she loves animals, she will be brave when necessary, her design is gorgeous, I want her hair, and she reminds me that some days it's okay to not be perfect, or even passable. Some days you backslide, or you trip and fall on your face, but you keep getting back up, keep being kind, and keep loving others, and it'll be okay. I'm Aramal the Fiery Secretary, and Fluttershy is my favorite MLP pony of all time.